This case is about a 16-year-old student named Esmeralda and her 35-year-old teacher, John Kelly, who killed her in a very tragic way. But what really happened? And why would a teacher do something so terrible? To understand this better, let's look at their background. Esmeralda Richiez was born on August 23, 2006, in Las Garcias, Dominican Republic. She lived in Higüey with her parents and older sister in a small, close-knit family. Esmeralda was smart, respectful, and kind. She had a calm nature and was always polite to others. She was also very active on social media, especially TikTok, where she had over 419,000 followers and more than 59,000 on Instagram. Her dance videos and daily life posts made her quite popular, not just online, but also in her school and neighborhood. Almost everyone knew who she was. But at school, there was one person who seemed to pay more attention to her than others. 35-year-old physical education teacher, John Kelly Martinez. He was known as a friendly teacher who treated his students well, but with Esmeralda, something felt different. He often said, "I like Esmeralda as a student," but his actions didn't feel like those of a regular teacher. It seemed more personal. Surprisingly, Esmeralda's mother knew she sometimes went out with John. Esmeralda always asked for permission before leaving home, even when she was meeting him. There had never been a reason to worry. But all of that changed with one decision. On February 12, 2023, the day everything changed. Esmeralda asked her mother if she could go to a local fair with 3 of her classmates, John the teacher, and his 20-year-old cousin, Ruben Murillo Martinez. They had never met Ruben before. To ease her mother's concern, Esmeralda handed her the phone so she could speak with John directly. That conversation made her mother feel reassured, and she allowed Esmeralda to go. At 7:30 p.m. that Sunday, John, Ruben, and the 3 girls picked up Esmeralda. But instead of going to the fair like they promised, John suddenly changed the plan. He took them to Macau Beach, 27 kilometers away from their original location. Esmeralda's mother had no idea about this change. After they started their trip, John stopped at a store and came back with a bottle of beer. His cousin was sitting in the front seat, but John told him to move to the back. Then, he asked Esmeralda to sit in the front with him. While sitting next to her, he opened the bottle and started drinking. But what no one saw was that John secretly dropped 5 pills into Esmeralda's drink. One of her friends noticed it, but didn't say anything. That moment was a warning sign, but nobody realized how serious it was. When they reached the beach, John's cousin and the 3 friends got out of the car, but John and Esmeralda stayed inside. As the others walked along the beach, they kept asking John's cousin why the 2 of them weren't coming out. He didn't give a clear answer. He just said, "They'll come soon." About 30 minutes later, John called out to them and said it was time to leave. The group was surprised. They had just gotten there and spent only half an hour at the beach. Still, they got back in the car to go home. That's when some of them noticed that something was wrong with Esmeralda. She looked very sick and was bleeding a lot. On the way back, things got worse. Esmeralda was in pain and asked John to stop the car. She said something felt very wrong in her private area. The group had to stop the car several times. Around 9:45 p.m., they stopped at a gas station. Esmeralda went into the restroom. She looked pale, weak, and could barely walk. Inside the restroom, there was heavy bleeding. There was a lot of blood and blood clots. The floor was covered. Her friends were scared and tried to clean the floor with tissue. They asked the gas station cashier if this kind of bleeding was normal during a period. The cashier said, "No, this is not normal. Take her to a hospital right now." The girls rushed back to tell John, but instead of helping, his first words were, "Oh my God, the police will arrest me." The girls were shocked. He then went to check on Esmeralda, and shortly after, they all got back into the car. Esmeralda's friends begged her to go to a hospital, but she refused. She was bleeding a lot and kept falling in and out of consciousness. John saw how bad her condition was, but he still didn't take her to the hospital. At 10:30 p.m., they stopped at a pharmacy on España Avenue in Bávaro. John bought water, pads, and pills to stop pregnancy. Pads for bleeding? Okay. But pills to stop pregnancy? Those are used after unprotected sex to avoid getting pregnant. Later, he stopped again to buy Esmeralda new clothes because her old ones were full of blood. At 11 o'clock p.m., they reached Esmeralda's home. She and her 3 friends walked inside together. Her parents were upset. She was late and hadn't called. When they found out they had gone to the beach instead of the fair, they got even angrier. But then, they looked closely at Esmeralda and saw something was wrong. She looked tired, in pain, and she was bleeding. Their anger quickly turned to fear. They asked, "What happened? Did someone hurt you?" But she did not answer and sat on the bed and left a big blood spot behind. Her family was shocked. When they asked her again what happened, she kept saying it was just her period. But her older sister felt something wasn't right. It didn't look like normal period bleeding. Still, she stayed quiet. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Even when her parents asked again, Esmeralda said nothing. So they gave her some pain medicine to help, and after that, everyone went to sleep. The next morning, February 13th, 2023, around 6:30 a.m., Esmeralda's mother went to wake her up for school. Esmeralda didn't respond, which surprised her. When she opened the door, she was shocked. The bed was soaked in blood, and Esmeralda was not there. The floor was also covered in blood, and the room was empty. Esmeralda was nowhere to be found. Then, her mother opened the bathroom door. There, she saw a terrifying scene. Esmeralda was lying face down on the blood-soaked floor. Her legs were bent awkwardly. It was a horrible sight. By 8:50 a.m., the police arrived. Esmeralda's body was taken for an autopsy, and what it showed was heartbreaking. She had died from heavy internal bleeding caused by serious injuries inside her private parts. The bleeding had been so bad that her heart couldn't keep pumping blood. That's what caused her death. Doctors said the injuries came from violent sexual abuse. There were deep cuts, clear signs of force, and the bleeding had started the night before. Gynecologists later said that Esmeralda had tried to fight back during the attack. The bruises and scratches on her body proved it. But even if she hadn't resisted, she was a minor. She couldn't give consent. The autopsy also found sedative pills in her system. This matched what one of her friends had said, that John dropped something into her drink earlier that night. Everything pointed to one awful truth. Esmeralda was drugged, abused, and left alone while she was in pain. Her death didn't just happen, someone caused it. Police quickly turned their attention to the people who were with Esmeralda the night before. When they questioned her friends, the truth came out. One of them said she saw John put 5 pills in Esmeralda's drink before they even got to the beach. Police later found Esmeralda's blood at the gas station and in the parking lot where they had stopped on their way home. At the same time, some people started saying that Esmeralda had taken abortion pills by herself, but the autopsy showed she was never pregnant. That meant those pills weren't hers. Someone gave them to her without her knowing. To make things worse, John's car suddenly disappeared after the incident. It turned out that his wife, yes, John was married and had children, had sold the car, maybe to hide the evidence. Even though John claimed he was innocent and said the bleeding started on its own, the police didn't believe him. The injuries on Esmeralda's body, the drugs found in her system, and the witness statements all pointed straight to him. Within hours, John was arrested and charged with rape and murder. The case shocked the entire country. People demanded justice for Esmeralda, and protests were held in many cities. After a year-long investigation, the court found John Kelly Martinez guilty of aggravated rape and femicide. In March 2024, he was sentenced to 20 years in Anamuya prison and ordered to pay $33,700 to Esmeralda's family. His cousin, Ruben Morillo Martinez, was also punished. He got 5 years of probation for hiding bloody clothes and helping John sell his car to destroy evidence. Esmeralda's family went through even more pain. Online, many people blamed her parents, accusing them of not protecting her. In response, her mother said with deep sadness, "I trusted him as a teacher. Parents, please question everyone, no matter how safe they seem." After receiving death threats from John's supporters, the family was forced to move away from their home. Still, they visit her grave every week, placing pink orchids, her favorite flower, next to her headstone, which reads, "Your voice ignited a revolution." Esmeralda's death opened people's eyes to the danger many girls face, even from trusted adults. It also led to national talks about protecting children, improving laws, and supporting victims of abuse. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching.